Discover the incredible truth, how letting go of comfort transformed my life in just 30 days. Emma woke up to the dull thud of her alarm, the kind that echoed the heaviness in her chest. She pulled herself out of bed, trying to shake off the fog of exhaustion. Just like every other morning, she would wear her smile like a shield and step into her day at the diner, where the smells of greasy breakfasts and fresh coffee provided a bittersweet comfort. 2 wild children waited for her with all the energy in the world, and despite her struggles, they were her greatest joys, but beneath the surface, dissatisfaction churned a deep, gnawing feeling that whispered she deserved more than this. As she waited tables, catching the endless banter and laughter of regulars, she felt like a transparent ghost blending into the backdrop of their bright lives. In that small Midwest town, where success stories flourished and her dreams sat dusty in a corner, Emma often felt invisible. One fateful morning, a colorful flyer fluttered onto her doorstep, announcing a month-long self-improvement challenge by a local charity. Could she actually commit to something so ambitious? Fear gripped her. Yet, as she watched her children race across the yard, laughter bubbling up like summer lemonade, something stirred within her, a flicker of hope. If nothing else, she wanted to teach them that change was possible, that dreams were worth chasing. With a deep breath, the words, "I'm in," slid from her lips, igniting a spark she hadn't felt in years. The challenge started off tumultuously. Stepping outside her comfort zone felt like stepping into uncharted waters. Emma began volunteering at the community center, meeting people from all walks of life, each with their own battles to endure. Her mother, a pragmatic woman, couldn't understand this new pursuit. "Emma, just get a steady job. Why chase dreams that don't pay the bills?" Their clashes reverberated through their small home like thunder, each argument echoing how fragile their familial ties had become. Doubts began to swirl as the days passed. What if she was just wasting her time? The whispers from neighbors cut deep. But amidst her fear, supportive faces emerged. They shared tales of grit, firing up the community spirit, reminding Emma she wasn't alone in her journey. Laughter mingled with tears, creating bonds over shared struggles that reignited her determination. In confronting her old self, small victories began to accumulate, and she realized these achievements were more than personal, they brought her community closer together. As the month neared its end, an unexpected festival was planned, set to showcase local talents and stories. Emma was invited to talk about her experience. Panic set in. What if she faltered? Sweaty palms and a racing heart were her companions on that stage. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With that stage set, Emma faced the crowd, her moment teetering on the edge of realization. Among them stood her mother, expression unreadable. Would her voice break? As she opened her mouth to share her journey, a flash of lights flickered and unforeseen commotion stole the audience's attention from her. Standing there, her words teetering on the threshold of release, Emma felt the weight of uncertainty again. Would this be another moment lost? Would her message resonate, or fade into silence like so many of her past? Emma's heart thundered in her chest as she began to speak, her voice barely rising above the sudden commotion. The crowd's eyes flickered away, drawn to a scuffle near the front row. She shifted nervously, scanning the faces that had been so attentive just moments before. Had she lost them already? Then she noticed a figure push through the throng, a boy, no older than 10, red cheeks and bright eyes. He reached the stage, his small body shaking slightly as he caught his breath. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to help," he exclaimed, face a mix of fear and determination. His words hung in the air like a lifeline thrown into the sea. Emma's instinct kicked in. She knelt down to his level, her voice softening. "Help with what, sweet pea?" Her current reality faded for that brief moment, replaced by the genuine concern that had driven her to join the challenge in the first place. I saw someone drop a puppy. It's hurt." His voice trembled, but his eyes shone with the earnestness that knocked Emma back into her purpose. The earlier panic swiftly changed to clarity. Her moment wasn't just about sharing her story. It was about transformation, empathy, and taking action. As murmurs rippled through the crowd, Emma stood up, heart racing with renewed adrenaline. "Everyone!" she called out, her voice commanding yet warm. "Sometimes, it's not just our own stories we need to share. It's about being there for one another. Let us help this little guy." Momentum swept through the crowd like fiery embers reigniting. People began to rise, nodding in agreement, eyes suddenly filled with determination. Emma led the charge, stepping off the stage with the boy by her side. In those moments, the noise of the festival faded. All that mattered was this boy, that puppy, and the idea that community could be a powerful catalyst for change. Her heart soared as hands reached to join them, giving Emma the encouragement she'd long craved. As they moved through the crowd, her heart swelled with a sense of connection she had been yearning for. This was why she had started this journey, to create something bigger than herself. She realized she was finally part of something real. When they reached the area, the puppy, a small, whimpering bundle of fur, lay curled against the ground. Without hesitation, Emma knelt down again, her fears rising up yet being washed away by the tide of purpose around her. "Who has a blanket? A towel?" she called, confident now. People began to search their bags, handing her supplies with urgency. As she carefully cradled the puppy, brushing its fur, she felt warmth spreading through her chest. This was the start of change, not just hers, but for a whole community coming together to stand for something. In that moment, her mother stepped forward, watching with an expression Emma couldn't quite read. Was it pride? Concern? Perhaps both. Finally, Emma faced her mother. This is what it's all about," she said, her voice steady. "Finding our voices together." But in that very heartbeat, a chilling realization hit her: if she wanted her mother to understand, she would have to confront her feelings head-on. How could she bridge the growing gap between them when the festival fades, when the spotlight isn't on them? As they helped the puppy together with the crowd rallying around, hope blossomed anew, but so did an unsettling question: was this tiny triumph enough to mend their broken relationship? And could Emma truly find her voice in a world that seemed determined to silence her? What other surprises awaited her in this journey, and would she dare to face them? Emma felt the gentle warmth of the puppy nestled in her arms as she brushed away its matted fur. The protest of its fragile body was a somber reminder of the fragility they all shared in this chaotic space. Around her, a flurry of activity buzzed as people gathered donations of blankets and towels, their spirits ignited by a sudden determination to help. The boy who had first found the puppy watched intently, his big eyes filled with reverence for Emma's gentle care. "You're really good with animals," he said softly, a hint of admiration in his voice. Emma smiled down at him, her heart swelling. It was a moment she wished could last forever, but a shadow flickered at the edge of her joy. Her mother's look loomed in her mind. What did her mother think about all of this? Did she see the connection forming around them, or was she still lost in her own worries, battling against the tide of their strained relationship? As the crowd worked together, a sudden burst of laughter rang out. Emma glanced over to see a group of teenagers joking as they raced to find the best supplies. It felt like a little spark, a joy that seeped into her heart amid the swirling anxieties. "You think the puppy will be okay?" the boy asked, his innocent question interrupting her thoughts. "Yeah," Emma replied instinctively, hopeful but a bit uncertain. "With a little love and care, I think he'll be just fine." The crowd began to make a small makeshift area for the puppy. Emma's mind raced as she instructed others, her voice resonating with urgency as she found her footing in the chaos. "Someone pull up a chair," she called, excitement lacing her tone. "And we need to make a sign to find his owner." Just then, a familiar sound punctuated the air: a siren. Emma turned her head, the sound slicing through the collective joy that had enveloped the crowd. Her heart sank, perhaps it was the reality of the moment crashing in around them. Her mother had always said, life could change in an instant. Wasn't she right? But before she could fully lose that thought, a lady with a worried expression rushed through the crowd, breathless and frantic. Emma recognized her, the puppy's owner. The lady's eyes landed on the tiny creature cradled in Emma's arms, and a wave of relief washed over her features. "Oh! There you are!" the lady gasped. "I thought I lost you forever." Emma quickly nodded, feeling a rush of adrenaline as she shifted into high gear, ready to reunite the puppy with its owner. "He's hurt, but he's going to be okay. We've been taking care of him," she explained. The lady knelt down, cautious yet desperate to reach for her puppy. As their hands met, Emma felt a pang of loss, realizing this was no longer hers to hold. Yet, there was also an undeniable satisfaction in witnessing the joy of reunion. But amid the joy, Emma caught a glimpse of her mother watching from a distance, the unspoken words heavy between them. What did this moment mean for them? Were they any closer to understanding each other? Suddenly, the crowd erupted in applause, all eyes turned toward her as if she had single-handedly saved the day. And for a moment, it felt like they were all on the same page. But was this an illusion? A voice broke through the cheers, piercing her euphoria. What happens next? Emma's heart raced as she pondered that question, uncertainty creeping in. Would this moment be enough to push her forward, or would the silence between her and her mother continue to weigh her down? As excitement filled the air, Emma stood in the middle of it all, realization dawning upon her. Sometimes, the real challenge wasn't just taking action, it was facing the silence that followed. But could she piece together the fragments of her family while navigating this newfound empowerment? With a glimmer of hope, she looked toward her mother, ready to bridge the chasm between them. What awaited them as they moved from here? And would they find a way to not just save the puppy but heal their hearts too? Emma's gaze lingered on her mother, who stood at the edge of the crowd, her expression a chaotic mix of pride and uncertainty. As applause echoed around them, Emma felt the noise fade into the background, replaced by the pounding of her own heart. What would she say? How could she possibly break the awkward silence that had grown between them like a chasm? The puppy, nestled back in the arms of its owner, began to squirm, licking her face with grateful little bumps of its tongue. It was a beautiful sight, yet Emma's thoughts were still tangled in her family dynamic. This moment of collective celebration felt jagged against her nerves. "Emma!" someone called, drawing her attention back to the frenzy of activity. A group of people approached with more supplies, food, bowls, and bandages. They were smiling, energized by the day's unexpected mission. "Can you help us set up a feeding area?" a woman urged her, and Emma nodded, her instincts taking over. At that moment, action became her refuge. She dove into the work, organizing the supplies and issuing instructions, her voice strong against the chatter. As they arranged the space, Emma's eyes darted occasionally to her mother. She wanted to reach out, to connect, yet every time she tried to gather the courage, the fear of rejection held her back. What would she say? "I need you." Or, "Do you want to try to talk?" "Hey, Emma, look at this." The boy, who had first found the puppy, danced into her line of sight, holding a colorful bandana. "We can use this to make him look even cuter." His enthusiasm pulled at Emma's heart, compelling her to engage. With a laugh, she accepted the bandana and gently tied it around the puppy's neck. The small creature instantly transformed into an adorable little mascot. The boy clapped with delight, and soon a few others joined in, gathering around to admire the puppy's new look. Laughter mixed with the scent of multiple plates of food being passed around, and for a moment, the air hummed with joy. Still, Emma felt a bittersweet edge to her happiness. What was it about being surrounded by all these people that made her feel so alone? As the crowd began to disperse after feeding the puppy and sharing their stories, Emma's gaze fell back on her mom. She had moved a little closer, still just at the fringe of the group, watching silently. "Emma!" called the lady with the puppy, her voice laced with gratitude. "Thank you for all you did. You have such a big heart. The words melted something inside Emma, and she smiled genuinely, the warmth igniting a flicker of confidence. She wanted to turn that warmth toward her mother. Mom! Emma beckoned, her voice barely breaking through the fading buzz of conversations. For a moment, silence filled the space around them, and the chatter stilled as eyes turned to her. Her mother stepped forward, a hesitant smile breaking through her anxious demeanor. Yes, Emma. The moment stretched taut, the emotional stakes rising as they stood face to face. The puppy's owner grinned at them, encouragingly. Can we talk? Emma asked, her heart racing. Her mother's eyes softened, but she hesitated, as if measuring the distance between them, weighing the unspoken words. What happens next? Echoed in her mind, louder than ever as she took a breath, feeling the moment shift. Could this be the start of healing, or would it merely echo the silence they had both sustained? As Emma searched for her mother's gaze, the world around them blurred. Time paused. And the answer remained just out of reach, suspended like the fragile freedom they both needed to embrace. But before she could decipher her mother's expression, a sudden commotion erupted in the distance, drawing their attention. What could possibly happen next to divert them from their moment? Emma felt the urgency rise again. She wasn't ready for distractions, she needed clarity, resolution. Curiosity surged within her. What if this new distraction could propel them further toward the truth they both desperately needed? Emma's heart raced as her eyes darted toward the noise erupting from the edge of the park. A crowd had gathered near the old oak tree, and from the looks of it, something chaotic was taking shape. It was as if her emotions twisted and turned, mirroring the sudden shift in energy around them. Let us go see. The boy exclaimed, tugging at her sleeve. Emma hesitated but then caught sight of her mother's hesitant gaze still fixated on her. There was a trepidation in that look, a silent plea that pulled at Emma's heart. She didn't want to run away, she wanted to be closer, to bridge the gap. Taking a deep breath, Emma nodded. Okay, let's check it out, she said, determination threading through her voice. As they moved through the crowd, the thrill and anticipation around them pulsed like a living thing. People were laughing, gasping, and murmuring. Emma felt a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. What could be happening? Was this a distraction, or was it an opportunity? When they finally reached the front, Emma squinted through the swarm of heads and arms. At the center, a young girl, maybe around Emma's age, was standing with a confused look on her face. She held a small, wobbly box tightly to her chest. As Emma leaned in to get a better view, she realized it was an impressive makeshift stage now crowded with children cheering her on. Come on, Clara. Show us what you've got, the boy shouted, and Emma couldn't help but smile at the collective encouragement. It felt rejuvenating, infectious. Even her mother was inching closer, curiosity dancing in her eyes. Clara held her hand up, gesturing for silence. The crowd quieted down, the anticipation palpable. I'm going to do a magic trick, she announced, her voice shaky yet filled with a strange confidence. Emma's heart swelled as she watched the girl. Here was a moment of bravery, a defiance against fear. She remembered her own freeze just moments ago, the fear of reach for something broken and rebuilding it. Maybe this was the reminder Emma needed, that vulnerability could bloom into something beautiful. Then suddenly, Clara stumbled, nearly dropping the box. An audible gasp spread through the crowd, but instead of retreating, Clara took a deep breath. I almost messed that up. She laughed, diving into earnest chatter about her trick while regaining her composure. It was honest, raw, and filled with the kind of realness that connected everyone. Emma glanced at her mother, who now wore a soft, encouraging smile. The distance between them broke ever so slightly. A flicker of understanding passed in that moment. Both of them were in need of courage. Mom, Emma said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper yet holding a weight to it. What if we could try that? What if we could talk like Clara is without fear? Her mother turned, eyes wide, dawning realization crossing her face. You're right, she said, her voice trembling. Maybe we can. Just as the walls seemed to crumble, a loud crash boomed from behind them. Emma's gaze whipped back toward the noise. Something was happening again, something that threatened to pull them apart yet again. Emma clenched her fists, and ached to stay rooted, to not let this feeling drift away. Wait! She shouted over the chaos, trying to keep her mother with her, trying to retain that flicker of possibility. Would this moment dissipate? Or was there a way to capture it before the distractions consumed them both once more? Emma turned, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. The commotion behind them was growing, an ominous wave threatening to bury their moment. She felt a pull, a tug from the crowd, as if it were trying to sweep her away, yet her feet stayed firmly planted. Stay close. Emma called out to her mother, who still seemed to be processing the warmth that had just flickered between them. The realization of their openness felt tender, yet the noise surged threateningly around them. When Emma glanced back at the crowd, her eyes widened. The source of the crash came from a group of older kids who had knocked over a cart full of brightly colored balloons. The balloons bobbed and floated, some already escaping into the blue sky above. Emma felt a pang of recognition. Those balloons, their vibrant colors seemed to represent the very emotions she sought to express. Look! The boy exclaimed, pointing at the balloons, almost mesmerized by their dance in the air. We can grab some. They're all getting away. A smile danced on Emma's lips, and in that moment, she glimpsed a glimmer of positivity through the chaos. Let us go, she said, urging her mother to follow her lead. With a quick nod, her mother took her hand, and for the first time in a while, a sense of unity enveloped them. Together, they weaved through the crowd, each holding on to the thread of that heartwarming connection Clara had sparked. Children dashed toward the colorful globes, laughter bubbling up, and Emma felt herself caught in the joyous abandon. They reached the edge of the park, a wild flurry of arms and legs. Emma spotted a shimmering blue balloon that had floated toward an open patch of grass. I want the blue one, she exclaimed, her voice ringing with youthful exuberance. Mom! Can you help me? Emma tugged gently on her mother's hand, her excitement igniting a spark in her mother's eyes. As they approached the balloon, a strange thing happened. Emma's heart raced not just for the balloon, but for a new possibility between them. This is my chance to really talk, isn't it? She thought. Just a little more. Emma encouraged, her voice full of hope as they raced toward the object of their desire. They stretched out together, and with a final leap, her mother managed to catch it gently between her fingers. We did it! She shouted, a grin spreading across her face. Emma couldn't help but laugh, a sound bubbling from deep within her, resonating with a joy that felt unfamiliar yet freeing. Holding the balloon tightly in her grasp, Emma turned to her mother. Mom, this is like Clara's moment, isn't it? You conquered a fear. Emma's grin widened, each word building a deeper connection. Maybe we can keep doing this. Her mother's eyes glimmered, a mix of realization and understanding blooming. Yes, we can, she affirmed softly, still holding onto the balloon as if it were a tether holding them closer. But just as waves of hope began to wash over them, another blaring noise sliced through the air. Emma turned sharply, her joy fading like the distances they had just crossed. A shouting echoed, clearer this time, vivid in its desperation. Someone help. Please. Emma's stomach dropped. The voice was frantic, breaking through the atmosphere. Was it too late to embrace their moment of courage? What had happened now? Stay here. She whispered urgently to her mother, and without another thought, she surged forward, determination fueling her steps. Into the thickening crowd she went, heart racing once more, ready to face whatever awaited. Would she unlock another layer of connection or uncover something that would shake her world yet again? Only time would tell as she ventured deeper into uncertainty. The crowd surged around Emma like a tidal wave, thick with urgency and confusion. She felt small, yet somehow bigger than her surroundings, driven by something deep within. Every pace ahead pushed her worries aside, focusing only on the cries for help. The balloon in her mother's grasp seemed to float further away, a symbol of the joy she had tasted just moments before. Over there. Emma pointed to a cluster of kids huddled together, their faces etched with concern. As she drew nearer, she could see a girl on the ground, her ankle twisted awkwardly beneath her. The air shifted, the laughter replaced by gasps and anxious whispers. "We need to get an adult," a boy shouted, panic rippling through the group. Emma frowned, her heart beating louder with every word. This was real. This was serious. Without thinking, Emma knelt beside the girl. "Can you hear me? What's your name?" she asked, her voice steady, trying to push her fear aside. The girl looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. "Mia," she managed between gasps of pain. "Mia, we're going to help you," Emma said, injecting as much calm into her tone as she could muster. "Just breathe, okay?" She glanced around. Others were frozen, unsure of what to do, but Emma couldn't afford to wait for someone else to take charge. Clara would have known what to do, she thought, a voice inside her pushing her forward. It was like Clara's lesson was echoing in her mind. Bravery didn't always roar, sometimes, it was quiet determination. "Mia, can you move your foot?" Emma asked gently. Mia grimaced but shook her head. "It hurts too much." "I think it might be sprained," Emma said with a reassuring nod. "Let us keep it still. Can someone call for help? An adult? Anyone?" The other kids nodded hesitantly, fear still anchoring them, but one boy ran off, leaving Emma to focus on Mia. Why does this feel so important? Emma wondered, glancing around at the growing circle of worried faces, watching her, waiting for guidance. When had she become the one to act, the one to encourage? But as she looked into Mia's fearful eyes, something clicked. This was her moment, not just to take charge, but to connect, to be the brave person Clara wanted to nurture. "Help is on the way," Emma said softly. "You and I are going to wait together until then." She sat beside Mia, feeling the warmth rise in her chest again, a budding strength fueled by compassion. Emma reached for Mia's hand, squeezing it gently. "Talk to me. What's your favorite color?" "Purple," Mia whispered, a faint smile breaking through her tears. "What about you?" "Blue," Emma replied, glancing toward the sky. "Just like the balloon." And there, in that moment of connection, she felt her fear dissolve. It didn't matter that she was scared, what mattered was their voices, their shared pain, and how they could face it together. The moment stretched on until finally, they heard footsteps, a pair of adults rushing towards them, concern etched into their faces. Relief surged through Emma, but it didn't drown out the exhilaration of having taken control, having forged a tether of unity amidst despair. As the adults knelt to assess the situation, Emma stood back, her hand still wrapped around Mia's. Who would have thought that a moment of chaos could spark such a transformative rush? But the day was far from over. With Mia in capable hands, Emma turned back to find her mother. The energy of the crowd now seemed less intimidating and she felt a renewed purpose. What other layers were left to uncover? What else could she do if she stepped forward into the unknown? She spotted her mother at the edge of the crowd, anxiety written across her face. Emma's heart ached at the sight, both for the girl she had tried to help and for her mother, who had just begun to step into their new connection. Filled with determination, Emma's voice rang out, "Mom, I need your help." Suddenly, she wasn't just leading with her heart, she was weaving her mother into this important moment. They would face whatever came next together. But as they rushed back toward each other, the tension of the day danced on the edge of something larger. Would Emma's newfound courage reach beyond this day, deeper than just a single moment? With hope simmering in her heart, she wondered, was this just the beginning of their journey? The moment Emma saw her mother's worried face, a mix of emotions pulled at her heart. Her mother, always the calm anchor in storms, looked overwhelmed. It was a reminder of how everything had changed in their lives lately. The fear mingled with something else, a deep-seated need to take charge, not just for herself but for her mother too. Mom! She called again, urgency lifting her voice over the murmurs of the crowd. The adults were already tending to Mia, but Emma knew her mother would want to be part of the solution. The warmth of her small victory faded, replaced by another pressing challenge. When they locked eyes, Emma felt a flicker of recognition between them, a silent understanding that this could be a turning point in their relationship. "Let us go," Emma urged, grabbing her mother's hand. She pulled her toward the group of children. "They need you." "Wait, Emma, are you sure?" her mother asked, glancing briefly at the adults before kneeling next to Mia, who was still panting softly. Emma could see the hesitation in her mother's posture. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on them. "Yes, I'm sure," Emma insisted, her heart racing with the importance of her words. "You know how to help. We can do this together." That was what she wanted. For them to be a team, facing challenges side by side. Taking a deep breath, her mother nodded. Kneeling next to Mia, she asked her questions, checking her response and examining her ankle with a steady hand. Emma felt pride swell up inside her. The way her mother took control was electric. It was as if the room breathed a collective sigh of relief, sensing the comfort of authority. "Okay, Mia, you have a sprained ankle. But it's going to be okay," her mother said, her voice soothing yet firm, a professional guiding a scared child. "Let us try to keep it still." Emma squeezed Mia's hand again, feeling their bond grow stronger as her mother worked as the adults wrapped up the situation. Emma couldn't help but notice how the surrounding kids had begun to relax. The anxiety hung in the air less thickly now. Words floated around. The kids were cheering Mia on, each encouraging her, sharing stories of their own lesser misfortunes. Emma felt warmth building in the group, a camaraderie she hadn't expected. That energy wrapped around her, sparking a deep connection within her. "Good job, everyone," Emma finally said, surprised at how her voice rallied. "Mia's going to be okay, right?" The smiles returned. Excited whispers jumped from one kid to another, the crowd slowly dispersing from its earlier tension. But just as Emma began to breathe again, something pulled at her, the thought that the day's chaos might be behind them, yet she couldn't shake what loomed ahead. She wanted to ask her mother how they could be more in sync, how they could face the harder things in life together. As the adults finally lifted Mia to a nearby bench, Emma turned to her mother. "Mom, what do we do now?" But before her mother could respond, an unexpected siren blared far off in the distance. Emma's heart dropped. What if that chaos returned? She felt a sense of unease creeping back in. The siren pulsed louder, and Emma's stomach twisted in anticipation. In that instant, she knew this day had so much more in store for both of them. How would they navigate it together? What if this isn't the end after all? Emma wondered, a wave of curiosity and determination washing over her. Was this just the first step into an even bigger unknown? Emma's heartbeat quickened as the siren's howl echoed through the air, reverberating off the walls of the nearby buildings. She exchanged a quick glance with her mother, whose expression mirrored Emma's unease. They were both acutely aware that this day was shifting, morphing into something beyond their understanding. "What is happening?" a little boy asked, his eyes wide and searching the faces of the adults for reassurance. Emma felt a wave of protectiveness wash over her. She didn't have all the answers, but she had to be the steady one. "Everyone, stay close," she called out, trying to sound confident. "Let us listen to the grown-ups," but her words trailed off as the sound of footsteps echoed, drawing closer. With that rhythm came the realization that whatever was about to unfold could change everything. The adults began to gather, murmurs of concern drifting like leaves caught in a gust of wind. Emma watched as her mother moved into action once more, her instinct to protect firing to life. "Stay together, kids," her mother called, standing protectively in front of Emma. Then the unthinkable happened. A group of emergency responders appeared, their uniforms stark and serious. Emma felt a tremor of fear. Were they here for them? For Mia? The sound of their radios crackling through the air heightened the tension. Stay calm. We're here to help, one of the paramedics said, scanning the crowd. Emma's heart raced as she considered the possibility that they were facing more than just Mia's injury. What if it's something serious? Emma whispered to her mother, trying to swallow down the rising panic. Her mother turned, knelt beside her, and gripped her shoulders firmly. No matter what happens, we stick together. We can handle this, okay? With that reassurance, Emma felt a flicker of courage surge within her. More than ever, she wanted to be the anchor for her mother too. Okay, she whispered back, and they both turned their attention back to the unfolding scene. The paramedics didn't waste any time. They began asking questions, assessing the situation. Has anyone seen anything unusual? One officer called out. Emma's stomach nodded. She could feel the focus now zeroed in on them. What had been a chaotic but manageable afternoon had swiftly turned into something ominous, and she could see the anxiety creeping back into the faces of her friends. As the paramedics worked, Emma caught sight of Mia, still seated but now looking more frightened than she had earlier. It tugged at Emma's heartstrings. Hey, Mia, Emma said softly, moving closer to her friend. You're strong, and they're going to make it better. We all believe in you. Mia's face crumpled with uncertainty, and for a brief moment, Emma felt the urgency of the moment to help her friend, to show her that they were not alone in this. Just when she thought the moment couldn't get heavier, the officer shouted, We need to clear the area. Everyone, please stay calm and move back. The air thickened. Emma and her mother exchanged a tense look. Would they really leave? Was there something worse than a sprained ankle looming? Mom, what is going on? Emma breathed, the words floating between them like a fragile thread. But as her mother opened her mouth to reply, Emma caught sight of something across the parking lot. A flash of movement, twisting her intuition into knots. Her heart lurched, and she felt a cold rush of panic run through her veins. Mom, look! Emma pointed, the uncertainty in her own voice betraying her. Suddenly, the siren wasn't the only noise in the air. The shouts mixed with the hum of growing anxiety. Something big was about to unfold, and Emma was right in the center of it all. What unseen truths were hidden just beyond her grasp? What if everything she thought she understood was about to change? Emma felt the world spin around her as the crowd tensed. Her heart raced, the sirens blaring like the chaotic rhythm of her thoughts. She gripped her mother's hand tightly, an anchor in the shifting storm. The realization washed over her like cold water, they had to be brave together. Stay close. She called, her voice steady despite the growing fear. Children huddled together, their faces pale with concern. Feeling the weight of their trust, Emma took a deep breath. We'll figure this out. As the paramedics moved through the throng, her eyes locked onto Mia, still sitting near the bench, vulnerability written all over her face. Emma felt a heavy mix of empathy and determination. They weren't just there for the puppy or a sprained ankle, they were a community crumbling under unease, and Emma couldn't stand by. Mia, Emma called softly, forcing a reassuring smile. Remember how strong you are. You're not alone. Mia shot her a grateful look, her eyes shimmering with appreciation as the paramedics worked on her ankle. Emma glanced back at her mother, who was talking with one of the emergency responders. The earlier tension had begun to melt into a tentative understanding, yet Emma could feel the silence pressing down on them again, the silence where words were needed. Mom! Emma said, nudging her back to the present. Can we help? They might need us. Her mother turned to face her, and in that moment, something shifted in the air between them. You're right, she breathed, both surprise and pride coloring her voice. Let us do this together. As they moved closer to the group, Emma's confidence swelled. Her mother, once hesitant, now exuded a quiet strength that mirrored Emma's newly found resolve. They stood side by side, joining the gathering forces of neighbors now responding to the emergency with kindness and unity. Let us coordinate. Emma suggested, urgency dancing in her voice. Can anyone help pass out water? We need to keep everyone calm. The adults nodded, springing into action, and Emma felt the electricity of collective purpose ripple through her. Together, they formed a small team, reaching out to those in need, sharing water and blankets, whispering encouraging words into the whirlwind of worry. Each act of care ignited warmth through the crowd, transforming anxiety into resilience, but as hope hovered, Emma caught a glimpse of movement again. The earlier chaos was intensifying. A young girl was in distress near the back of the gathering. Over there! Emma shouted, pointing. Someone needs help. With fluid synchronicity, she and her mother rushed forward, instinct pulling them as one. They knelt beside the girl, who was crying softly, cradling her arm. What happened? Emma asked, kneeling close. I thought it would be okay to climb, but then I fell, the girl sobbed, pain clouding her face. Emma placed a gentle hand over her own, reassuringly. Just breathe, she said softly, trusting her voice to lead. You're safe now. As the paramedics arrived, Emma felt a wave of familiarity wash over her, the connection between helping someone else and healing her own world. The warmth in her heart began to solidify. Her mother was by her side, working together without hesitation. Emma caught her mother's eye again. This time, there was no hesitation, no distance. Just two hearts beating with the rhythm of shared purpose. With every person they uplifted, every action of care, the chasm that had once seemed so wide between them narrowed bit by bit. As the final minutes played out like a surreal dance, they watched the little girl's tears transform into smiles as help arrived, surrounded by compassion. Relief filled the air, bursting like confetti, and Emma's heart soared. In all this chaos, through every challenge they had faced together, they had begun to mend something deeper. Finally, as the last minor injury was resolved and the crowd's nerves settled, the festival atmosphere found its footing once more. Everyone chatted, laughter erupted, and the spirit of community was rekindled. Mom, Emma whispered, her heart thrumming with newfound assurance. Thank you for being here. Her mother turned, vulnerability softening her gaze. You led us. You were amazing, she said, pride swelling in her chest. Maybe we can find a way to keep this connection going. Emma whispered, finally feeling the bridge form between their hearts. Her mother nodded, a tear catching her eye. I'd love that. In that moment, they both felt that a transformation was blooming where uncertainty once stood. They were no longer just mother and daughter, they were partners in navigating life's unpredictable waves, a force stronger given the love between them. Emma hugged her mother tightly, joy filled the spaces where distance had lingered. They would take this union, this community, and allow it to nurture them as they ventured into the next challenges waiting just beyond the horizon. As the festival flared alive around them, Emma paused, gazing out at the vibrant crowd, the laughter, the friendships rekindled, the spirit of love binding it all together. Mom, we really can chase our dreams, can't we? Emma said, her heart light. Together, her mother affirmed, locking eyes with her once more. A silent promise established a commitment to face whatever came next with open hearts, and as the sun dipped low, casting a golden glow, the promise of tomorrow flickered brightly, a celebration of healing shining not just for Emma, but for them all. Now, the final chord of this journey was not just about the puppy or commitments. It was about the bond that would guide them home. It's time you took action for your own journey. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. This is the moment to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second to hit that like button. Share your reactions and feelings about the ending in the comments below. And remember, share this transformative tale with at least 5 friends who need to feel this hope and connection. Let us spread the love.